This engineer finds video games to be frustrating. But most kids his age still play them, he thinks. So why does he find them frustrating? He was about to remember exactly why.
What?
This 12-year-old console apparently still needs an update. I don't know why. And so does your controller, by the way. This game still takes forever to load. Microsoft started to charge $30 a month just for their Game Pass Ultimate. Outrageous. As this engineer grew up, his dad would tell him stories about when he was his age. Growing up in the 80s, his dad would spend his weekends with his friends at the arcade. His dad mentioned how much simpler the video games were back then and how different gaming culture was. Through these arcade machines, there was this retro charm, these vibrant colors, simplicity. It seemed perfect, this engineer thought. If only he was alive during that time to experience the pinnacle of the 80s arcade. With his growing curiosity in arcade machines, this engineer spent a single weekend building his own, using resources and materials at his disposal. But being the engineer he is, he couldn't help but think of ways he could improve upon his creation. He knew exactly what improvements to make, so he did some online shopping. A new monochrome OLED display, double the size as the last one. A new supply of limit switches. This engineer loves limit switches. And finally, some clicky momentary buttons. A lot to choose from. Exactly the right improvements to be made. Using his student-level skills, his next move was to let his hands and his mind drift off into Fusion 360. This sketch wasn't intended to be redesigned from the ground up, just to include some subtle improvements over the last one, like making room for the new buttons. However, this engineer is a bit of a perfectionist. He took his time with this one, spending far more time than he intended to. So much for just a few tweaks.
Up until this part of the video, I've been using my homemade dispo lens to film a lot of this video just to give it a fun, unique effect. I'm going to change the lens for this part of the video because I'm going to be talking a little bit about the wiring diagram involved in this project. So the print is finished, but before I move on to that, I just want to talk about this. So this is, let's see if I can, lens cap was on. Okay, just a sec. All right. So yeah, this was the original schematic. This was what I made in my last video. This is what I kind of drew out to represent the wiring connections between the Arduino. The potentiometer was supposed to be here, the OLED screen, and the limit switch. Overall, this was pretty simple. It was a pretty basic circuit. It's all encased in this. This time around, because there's going to be more buttons and more functionality, this is the new circuit here. It's very, very similar. It's basically the same thing, except there are these 4 new buttons that are mapped to the D pins, which stands for digital, on the Arduino. They all share a common ground, so that saves wiring. The ground is also being shared right here because it has 2 grounds. But yeah, overall, this isn't too complex. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder and build the circuitry when all the buttons are already fixed into place. In my last project, I did the assembly of the circuit first and then just kind of shoved everything inside of here. I mean, that works, but just because there's so many more moving parts, I want to assemble the circuit after the buttons are in place. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take the print out of the printer. All right, it turned out pretty good. This is just gonna fit right there. So that big OLED screen, this is what I'm most excited about. If I design this correctly, it should just fit right in here. Cool, 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 cool. The buttons will fit in here. Potentiometer goes here, limit switch goes right here. This is just a little decoration. I just thought that would be kind of fun to include. Yeah, overall this looks pretty good. I need to perform a transplant. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the inside. Okay, this is the Arduino Nano ESP32. This is literally one of my favorite things ever. There's so much you can do with this, and when I made this for the first time, you know, there was only one really simple game, but I knew that this thing was capable of so much more, and that's what this is going to be about.
The build process started with the installation of the OLED screen. Up next was the button pad, the 6mm peg as the chosen candidate. Of course the fit was too tight, but this engineer's use of incorrect tools might just do the job. Next on the list, the potentiometer, installed simply with a nut and washer. Last but not least, the limit switch, surprisingly a perfect fit, secured in place only by some handy-dandy Gorilla Glue. With these steps complete, the control panel is now finished. To make the control panel operational, this engineer makes meticulous work of his soldering iron, his favorite tool in his arsenal. He carefully follows the hand-drawn schematic from earlier, grouping certain wires together when possible, keeping the project and his mind organized. This engineer's multimeter lets him check for wire continuity, making sure electricity is properly flowing before installing the wires in the arcade machine. With enough patience, this engineer assembled the hardware portion of the Arduino Arcade. Every wire was connected, every button was in place. At this point, only one single thought existed in his mind. Was everything connected properly?
Okay, this is put together. Man, okay, all that's left to do now is just to test if all the connections work. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try to have AI write some kind of code that allows me to just check if every button press, every potentiometer turn changes like certain inputs. This is emitting the most ear-piercing high-pitched frequency ever. It is compiling the sketch now, so at least that's working. Oh, come on. Oh. Yeah, maybe I should plug in the cable. Okay. Okay, here we go. I go to serial monitor. So, with this, right is pressed, left is pressed, down pressed, up pressed. Okay, so these buttons all work. Oh, it's changing. Okay, potentiometer works. Okay, limit switch, pressed, released. Oh my gosh, it works. All of this works. Okay, that is a success. I just need to figure out what the hell is causing this horrible, like screeching high-pitched frequency coming from, I think, the screen. High-pitch frequency. How to get rid of that? Dude, AI is like my best friend now, dude. The engineering is just getting to me these days. I don't know. Give me the correct Adafruit libraries. It turned off. It's not humming anymore. Look. Whoa. Do you think you can make me a Space Invaders test? No, that's counterclockwise. Okay. Rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. If this works, I'm gonna be blown away. No way! Okay, this is nothing like how Space Downfall, the knockoff Space Invaders, was on the old one. Dude, that works so well. Look how big the screen is! That looks really good. The possibilities are endless, folks. Hold on, can you make Donkey Kong? What? Dude! What the hell? It's not at all what I asked for, but hey, it's okay. I mean, it's not really Donkey Kong. This is just jump over the circles. Dude, this is insane. This is crazy. Look at this.
After confirming everything worked, this engineer collaborated with AI to build a proper user interface, an operating system that displayed a list of games from top to bottom, and was built with modularity in mind. New programs can be coded into the system or deleted without affecting the others in the list. The player can use the button pad to navigate within the list of games, selecting a program of choice and having the ability to return to the main menu at any given moment.
It has been a few hours. This is pretty incredible. So what I've done in this time, technically ChatGPT did like the entire work, but there is an entire operating system on this now. So this is how it works. So I'm going to turn it off, turn it back on, Arduino Arcade. All right, here we go. So there's a series of games. I have 5 game placeholders in here right now. I can navigate from game 1 to game 4, and then there's pages. It's on page 1 of 2. Now it's 2 of 2, there's game 5. I can add as many games as I want, and it'll actually do calculations to know how many pages to add. But let's say game 1 had a super long name. Let's just say this game has a very long name, and I don't know what it's called. If I were to upload this now, I want to show you what happens. See, it's a really long name, and it actually created a second page. Yeah, when it does create more lines to fit in the rest of the name, it creates a little indent, so I can clearly discern that this is still game 1. And then all the rest of the games are unchanged. And the coolest thing about this is just the operating system, and this is so modular in the way where I can add as many games as I want, so things can be added and deleted without any other games being affected. So the code is pretty incredible, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it looks great. I think it's going to work great. If there is a game that you want to see on here and you want me to try to put it on here, leave a comment and I will I will try to do that. I want your input on this. I will put the code for this operating system in my GitHub. The 3D model for this will be found on MakerWorld. I will leave links to the exact parts that I used here. They're all super cheap. They're all found on Amazon. This is one of my most favorite projects I have ever worked on. I think something like this has so many possibilities, and I'm just scratching the surface with what the Arduino Nano ESP32 can do. This is an entire organized operating system. I can't wait to just start filling this thing up with some games. Gaming that's simple, accessible, it's easy. Yeah, I don't know, this might save my life. All right, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day.
But there was still one more thing this engineer wanted to do.